Leah Remini and JLO are walking a similar path, and we need to talk about it. This whole John Stamos Scientology story is causing people to come out of the woodwork. And Rebecca Minkoff, I have thoughts and feelings and a few things I'm going to say. I can't believe I'm going to say it. Hey, everybody, and welcome. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for being here. Hello to those members, and huge thank you, as usual, to the moderators for helping us keep the wheels on the bus, especially when we have so much to get through and so little time. I feel like there's not enough time, and there's so much culty Scientology news to cover. But I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you for being here. Go over to that like button, show it some aloha, please. Give it a little tap, hit that subscribe, and set your notification bell to all. I would greatly appreciate it. In the meantime, while you guys are doing that, let's talk about Scientology Audit Streets LA. If you are new to the channel, he got the protest, this current renaissance of Scientology protests, people live streaming outside Scientology going last year. And you may remember that the owner of the restaurant La Poubelle, which was also being protested, tried to slap this restraining order on him and all this stuff. And she was going to have to pay for her legal fees. And oh my gosh, it is like they just don't get the message on when they need to stop. So Scientology Audit Streets LA did a community post, and he shared La Poubelle owner Francois Coster lost her appeal. It's over. Time to pay up. Ka-ching, ka-ching, honey. Now, link down below. You can go read the whole thing and see all the other videos and clips and stuff that we're going to talk about today. But I think that is fantastic. I do believe she has to pay its Scientology Audit Streets LA and for Scotty too. So that's like a lot. It is a lot. And it's so great because finally there's a bit of justice in the abuse of the legal system to try and violate people's First Amendment right to be there and to peacefully protest. Not happening. She has to pay. I wonder how many meals you have to sell in a restaurant like that to pay this level of legal bills. I just don't know. But we will find out. Keep an eye on that. Okay, now, SP Chef, the SP Chef. Samuel was recently in a publication in Sweden. And guess what, you guys? Based on that interview, this actually is really amazing news. The SP Chef has shared, and if you don't know him, the SP Chef has a channel here on YouTube. He grew up in Scientology and the Sea Organization and recently shared his story with a publication out there, I believe, in Sweden. And he says, I'm incredibly honored to be put forward as a nominee for the prestigious Prix Courage, an award for civilian courage and bravery in spite of personal danger to help others. This is a Swiss award done and organized by Beobachter, which is the magazine that published his story in August of this year. And he's got a link down to, it looks like a podcast there, and a little screenshot of the article. I just love that picture of Samuel. That is the SP Chef right there. Super proud of him. It is incredibly brave to come forward and share these stories. And I can't tell you how excited I am that Sweden, based on that story, is going, you know what? This is courage. This is bravery. Let's give this man an award for speaking out against Scientology, for standing up in his truth, for shedding light, for going back for other people who are still trapped there by Scientology and, all their harmful practices, including disconnection, which is one of the main issues that people tend to have with Scientology. Why you got to tell us who we can and cannot talk to? Right? Why that sense of control? Why can if someone leaves Scientology and they don't want to do it anymore, but someone's staying in Scientology, why can't they talk to each other? What are you so afraid of? Because Scientology don't trust their own people. Let's be honest. They don't people. Girl, Scientology doesn't even trust their own staff. David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology, so much doesn't trust his own staff that they are not allowed to explain or talk about Scientology. They put people in front of these video monitors to show them what Dianetics and Scientology is. And side note here, For those of you who have been following my channel and others for quite some time, you know all about the implant station belief in Scientology, that between lives, you head to the implant station and you're put in front of these screens and you are indoctrinated in your beliefs on earth to keep you trapped there. That's what Scientology believes. And they believe if they do enough of the steps on Scientology's bridge to total freedom, that they won't have to report to the implant station. So don't you think it's a little odd that Scientology has all of these video things, these video screens, these panels all over their organizations, and they sit people down in front of them and go, now you will learn the truth about Scientology. I just think it's a little odd. It's a little odd. Is it not? Is it a little odd? It's a little odd. Hey, Scientolo geek. I'm so excited. We're going to sit down and do an interview, and you all are going to learn along with me more about ChatGPT and how we can use it to expose Scientology and talk to the bot that is L. Ron Hubbard. I'm so excited about this. I'm geeking out about it. Seriously, I totally am. All right, let's see. Desert Dog, you're so right. Acknowledge Scientology is dangerous and it's brave to speak out. Holy crap, that's huge. It is. It is. And you go, the SP chef. You go. Oh, it's a Swiss award. It is a Swiss award. I did this before. I know I will heal from him over this. It is a Swiss award. Okay, I got to admit real quick, this is a little, well, not off topic, but I confuse Switzerland and Sweden because Samuel is a chef and he's the SP chef. And my brain tells me about the Swedish chef in, from the Muppets. It's like, I get the two confused in my head. I'm such a dork. Seriously. Sometimes it's like, am I really in charge of my own life? Is there not someone here pointing me in the direction? Should this be happening? I kind of feel, I've said this before, like almost I need a nanny. How am I in charge of my own life? Okay. So anyways, enough of my confusion about that. Let's see. Let's go over and take a look at Kelly, one of my favorite people to watch live streaming and protesting Scientology. Kelly was over at the Blue Buildings. And have you guys seen those vehicles that, who makes them? Are they an Elon Musk thing? They just look super spacey, like a spaceship. I see them where I live. There's 2 or 3 of them driving around that I see fairly regularly, which makes me think maybe there's more, but I don't know. It's weird looking. I got to be honest. We're going to look at it. But the funny part about this video is that Kelly was talking to a Sea Org member about it, who was having the conversation with her until she went, oh, wait a minute. She has a phone. She is cameraing me. I cannot be cameraed. I am the Sea Org. And she runs away. It's a Tesla Cybertruck, Nutmeg. Okay. Where'd Nutmeg go? There you are. Tesla Cybertruck. Okay. I don't like it. And maybe it's new. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think the thing looks weird. I don't know a ton about it, but not even the point of the story here. Watch this.
Are you boarding the spaceship? It's the most spaceship thing I've ever seen on the road. It's crazy. Look how big the tire is.
I know.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And there she goes. She got to run away. She can't get into the car now. She can't do any of the things because Kelly is there talking to a Sea Org member about getting into a spaceship, which is really funny because, Xenu, alien, Scientology, right? The whole thing. It just cracked me up. It cracked me up so bad. Oh my goodness. So sounds like you guys don't like the Cybertruck either. I don't know. I'm not a fan. I've not seen the inside. It just, I don't know. I'm not liking it. It doesn't go with my aesthetic. It is not my vibe. Ooh, Justine, you're right. It does look like a Hummer, and I'm not a big fan of those either. So maybe that's it. Joe, it does look like something from Back to the Future. You're right. Oh, it does. It kind of does. But I don't know, not my vibe, not my vibe. I don't like it. And I like that a lot of you also feel that it is not a pleasing aesthetic. How it works as a vehicle, I have no idea how it performs or any of that stuff. Okay, let's go over now and see Manning 8, who was letting Scientologists, I'm assuming this is a staff member, know that, hey, if you keep making false calls and calling false 911 calls in because we're here exercising our First Amendment right, you're going to get in trouble.
Steve, you wanted to say anything before you go? Steve, could you tell me anything positive about Scientology? I can't think of anything positive either. You guys keep calling 911. You know, it's a felony. 3 or more fake phone calls, it's a felony. Just think about it. 2.5 years in prison, bro. Have a nice day.
What a good PSA to let them know. And I feel like the Scientologist was listening too. You know, he wasn't like averting his eyes. He was full blown looking over there. So I'm thinking he heard that and was probably going, what? Wait a minute. Is this for real? I need to do the Google. Where's my phone? Somebody Google this. Is it a felony? Can I really get in trouble for calling in these false calls? If that is what he's doing, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still laughing about your car, the cyber urinal. Yeah, it is weird. It's just weird. I'm not a fan. I actually would like to ride in one just to see what it's like. So if anybody lives in Minnesota, you're in the area, come hook a girl up, take me for like a drive in it. Let's see what it's like. Let's see if I change my mind. It also looks like it's hard to get in and out of because it's so low to the ground. I'm just saying, you know what? I'm turning 54 in a couple days, and I try not to squat down at, you know, if I don't have to. I try to reserve that, save that energy. Okay, let's go over to Austin now, because you guys, back to school is happening. Kids are going back to school, college kids included. And we know that Austin Scientology is right next to the college, and they are creepy as hell about it. We know the efforts they've gone to try to recruit these college students, and it is just not happening. It is not. It is not happening. But let's take a look at this, because these two curious students had a great conversation with Miss Kim. And this young man dropped a little bit of a bomb here about something that his friend saw involving a young child in Scientology. And this really speaks to how, you know, it is Scientology that is their own worst enemy. We're just turning the cameras on them. We're just shining a spotlight on them. They're the ones doing the culty things. And if you do culty things and people see it, usually what happens is they're going to go, oh, you doing culty things. That's a cult. We are not down with that. No, we are not. So look at this. Where is that? I'm like, where's that shadow coming from on my face? It was my hair. Okay. So look at this. Listen to this kid.
My friend saw like this 5-year-old girl with like dirty ass clothes.
So he says, my friend saw a 5-year-old girl in dirty clothes. This was outside Scientology.
And her mom was like, oh, it's okay, sweetie, you can leave now. It was like 6 p.m.
Yeah.
So like,
and her mom was telling her, oh, you can leave now. It's 6 o'clock. Like, you know, the kid had to be there all day. And why was she there in dirty clothes? What was the deal? But here they are. They saw this, or his friend did, and shared it with him. And he is now sharing it with a ton of people, all because why does Scientology have a 5-year-old being kept there till 6 o'clock by their parents? And I got to tell you, that is very common. You're talking to somebody who, let's not forget, back in my day when I was a child in Scientology, in the mean streets of Waikiki, Hawaii, hanging out there with my sister, selling drawings we did with our crayons to make money for candy money. You guys know the story. I was out there at 9 years old, hanging out with Mark David Chapman. I mean, it was right before he went and murdered John Lennon, but still, were any adults watching? No, we were like 7 and 9, almost like 8 and 10, and wandering around out front Scientology in Waikiki because our mom was in there doing the purification rundown and talking to plants because she said she was having LSD flashbacks, while Lana and I are out there trying to make some money for candy and making friends with a man who would go and just commit this horrific murder. It's a whole thing not watching these kids. So I'm just telling you from my own experience, this is a thing. they're not being supervised. Because why, everybody? They are big beings and little bodies. That is a belief in Scientology. And a lot of the times, many Scientology parents don't understand. They accept this datum by L. Ron Hubbard that they're big beings in little bodies, and don't see it as being neglectful or abusive. They feel like they're treating their big being in a little body child, that they're actually somehow uplifting him. So him or her. So most of the time, but not all of the time, the intention is good. They're doing the best they can with the tools they have. That's not to say that that is the same for every single Scientologist, but I think it's important to make the distinction in Scientology, like any other high control group, cult, not cult family, whatever it is. People can have a different experience within that, and one experience does not invalidate the other one. Just because I didn't see something doesn't mean it didn't happen. Because something happened to me, like as a child in Waikiki, unsupervised, hanging out with a murderer, doesn't mean that every kid in Scientology hung out with Mark David Chapman while their parents were working at the org and doing the purification rundown in the sauna and talking to plants because of LSD flashbacks. No, it does not. And now that I'm thinking about this, why did my mom feel the need to tell us that? It sticks in my head. Like, I remember that. I remember it. And it really, I will say this, it definitely, not that I ever had a strong desire to do LSD, but definitely I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, because I don't want to have to end up talking to plants later on. So I guess in a way, maybe she did deter me from drugs. All right, let's now go over to Hitzel, who's also in Austin, warning people, especially college students, that, hey, watch out. Y'all are going back to school. You need to know that Scientology is a cult over here.
Warn everybody not to go in this building. It's the cult of Scientology.
I mean, I actually think this is monetized.
Yeah.
And there's all these college kids going by, all of these young people getting this message. I love it so much. I love it so much. I love it so much. I really do. I really do. Let's see. Nutmeg. I have to imagine a lot of the parents carry guilt over raising their kids in Scientology once they get out. Yes. Yes, very much so. My mom, we left Scientology 2 years before she passed away, and she carried such a huge amount of guilt that I tried to help her out with, because I didn't feel that I didn't feel any animosity. I wasn't upset with her about it. I truly, really believe, based on my mother's own upbringing, not in Scientology, that due to the abusive nature and trauma that she went through, she was really trying to do the best she could. And based off how she grew up in that abusive situation, her dad chased her around with a knife when she was 16, and she had to move out. And she moved in with a paraplegic to take care of her so she would have a place to stay. In fact, the woman who was a paraplegic, who my mother took care of, who also took care of my mother, taught my mom how to drive. I think that's probably why my mom later went on, when she married a Scientologist who happened to be a paraplegic. I bet you it's got something to do with that earlier relationship. Don't you love how we're working in real time through my whole family dynamic and paths right here on YouTube? Because you guys have such great questions about it. All right, so let's see. Where are we at? Oh gosh, San Francisco, Club Brain Fog, people going in, knowing it's a cult, but they're going to go check it out anyways. And it's hilarious to me that people are going into Scientology for the memes, for the laughs. Oh, we know it's a cult. We just want to go inside and see. It's kind of like going to, I don't know what it would be like, doing something with your friends, like going to an escape room because you're trapped, and maybe it's scary, and maybe it's an adrenaline rush to walk into this cult and see really what's up. But what's happening? It's entertainment. It's entertainment for young people, some of them, to go into Scientology, to like step foot in the cult. You guys ever remember growing up, there was always one house in the neighborhood. Each neighborhood had that one house that was super spooky, and your friends would dare you to walk up the steps and go to the door and knock on the door. Maybe at Halloween, maybe when you were selling Girl Scout cookies. I don't know what y'all did when you were kids. But do you realize that like every neighborhood has that? I feel like that's what Scientology is. Scientology is the creepy house in the neighborhood that kids, and I say kids because remember, I'm like 54 years old. These are actually young adults, are going in it with that same vibe. with that same intention. They're not going in there to be like, oh my God, I just need to be clear. Hook me up to some cans. Tell me. No, that is not happening. That's not what's happening. So let's take a look at this. This is Club Brain Fog, again in San Francisco. Check it out.
You don't want to go in there. It's a cult. It's a cult. Oh, okay. Don't worry. They'll ask you if you're with me. You say no. Have fun. I don't try to stop the kids anymore. They know what's going on. They just wanted to see.
Yep, they know what's going on. They're just like, let's go into the creepy Scientology building and see what's what. How about we do that? Let's do it. Let's do it. Do you dare me? Will you go with me? I can just imagine the conversation. Kitty says, I live in the creepy house on the block. That is fun too. Nisa, isn't that like walking into a lion's den? Well, not if you know what the lions are up to. I mean, honestly, there's nothing that they can do to people who just walk in especially when they're aware. If you were aware of the lion, that the lion can hurt you, then, you want to have boundaries around that. So hopefully the people that go in for the laughs are doing it with boundaries, not giving their personal information, not allowing Scientology to get into their psyche and use their mind control tricks to find your ruin. Because that's what they want to do. They do the personality test and they find out what's burning your life. What are you struggling with? And their job is to get you to see how Scientology will handle that for you. Oh, are you not getting along with your family, young college student? Are you having that normal growing up? Now some space is being created because you're going off a normal thing. They're going to make it into be some big kind of angst. And we can help you with that. That will ruin your life. And when you're armed with that and you know about that, I don't think it's going to be a lion's den so much. Now let's talk about Eric Rader and what he did yesterday. Eric Rader had a party. He had a party here on YouTube. I'd have popped in, but I was out doing something. I don't remember what. Oh yeah, I had multiple things going on yesterday, but let's take a look at this because I love when creators come together, when people here on YouTube that I really enjoy watching their content come together, and I just geek out about it. I just love this. Let's take a quick look and peek at the party.
No, you're right. See, here in Clearwater, everyone's higher level, so you only talk like body thetans and up.
Yeah. I can do it to Cowboy John.
And that's Farrell Sherrill, who's in Clearwater. And she's right. It's all higher levels in Scientology. It's a different scene when you're protesting Scientology in Clearwater. And that is Rika there from Portland. And I think Fluffer Squirrel's there. And I'm missing who one person is. But I love this. I love seeing it. Do you guys love seeing it? I know I do. I'm always like, I get all excited. What are they going to do? What are they going to talk about? It looks like so much fun seeing them come together because exposing Scientology, especially if you have a history with Scientology as an ex-Scientologist, can be very traumatic. And having that levity of being able to laugh about it and talk to other people about it. And even many of you never in Scientology might find a lot of what we go through and talk about being triggering due to your own previous trauma. And so same thing, it's fun, it's good to be able to laugh sometimes. I know I try to do it as much as possible because given, recent events of having lost my partner 82 days ago, I need to laugh. And I think people coming together to create that while doing something that is difficult and often hard to face and talk about, if you can bring that levity, I think it's just great. Yeah, Sharona, great therapy for the soul. You said it well. Exactly. I think so. Oh, wow, Joe, did it go that late? You watched Eric's live last night? You were up till 3 a.m.? You party animal. You party animal. Good for you. All right, let's now go and talk about this John Stamos thing, you guys. I thought when, it first came out, because it's talked about in his book, John Stamos recently released a book, and he talked about his encounter with Scientology and how they pretty quickly kicked him out for being a bit of a clown and, playing around with the e-meter cans, like talking on the phone with one of them. And they're like, no, you were too much. Boot. We swiped left on you. And I'm sure they regretted it because it was before John Stamos was famous. Here's the thing, though. It's like people are coming out of the woodwork with their near misses with Scientology, including celebrities, and it is the best thing ever. This has been covered on so many different platforms, news platforms, just so many things. And so Aaron, growing up in Scientology, covered it and went through and gave his whole take on it. And I think he makes a really good point here.
I am not Scientology material. Darn it. Scientology, meanwhile, has not publicly addressed John Stamos's claims.
And by the way, if John Stamos would have joined Scientology, the 13, 14-year-old me would have lost her mind. I was so in love with him. So in love.
Is it me, you guys, or are people coming out of the woodwork with Scientology stories? Is it possible that there's been such a culture shift ever since Tom Cruise made it okay to joke about Scientology back in 2004, whenever he jumped on the couch? Was it 2005 when he jumped on the couch? I think it might have been 2005. I mean, once Tom Cruise became the butt of jokes and the laughing stock of Hollywood, once it became okay to publicly ridicule Tom Cruise, which before the jump on the couch, you did not F around in Hollywood and make fun of Tom Cruise.
There is truth to that. But I think that this is happening and we're going to see it. And I love it because, again, it helps to get the word out more. So somebody might first learn about Scientology through some funny little story, something like that. Oh, John Stamos once went into Scientology and they kicked him out. But then they continue to learn more about it and like, whoa, this is a human trafficking cult. And I always say, hey, come for the entertainment, stay for the education. And if you feel so moved, maybe, do something to help expose Scientology, like going to SPTV.SPACE, going to resources and reaching out to your elected official here in the United States. There are directions on how you can do that, including a form letter, a sample letter that you can use and be inspired by to craft your own message, or even just use that letter. The point is that you reach out and it gives you directions on who to CC on your communication. So these interactions can be tracked and we can find out where elected officials all over the US stand on looking into Scientology's tax exempt status. So little plug for that. If you've not already done it, please head over there to SPTV.SPACE, click the resources tab and do that. Link down below in the description. Every day you'll be able to find it in my videos. Go to that link and be able to do that. All right. Now, what was I doing here? I completely lost my train of thought here. Oh, yes. Let's see here. We were just about to get into Nora and Mitch Brisker's video. Me and Taz, you're right. Yesterday you were distracted by your sister's bombshell news. Oh my gosh. You guys, if you didn't see the video I did yesterday with my sister, go check it out. I could not believe what I found out, what she told me. Girl, my sister was in OSA. My sister was in the Office of Special Affairs. Not unusual, being she was in the Sea Org for many years, but I never knew. And it's not that she was hiding it. It's just, I don't know, you forget. But oh my goodness, you gotta check it out. It just blew my mind. It really did. It really blew my mind. Your comments on John Stamos are hilarious, you guys. I'm glad too I wasn't the only one massively crushing on him, right, Julie? I had the poster up in my room that I found in a magazine that I got from my cousin. Yeah, I was really convinced that we would marry one day. Yeah, it didn't happen, but you know what? Still worked out for me. It is John Stamos's loss, let's be honest. Okay, let's now go over to this video with Nora and Mitch Brisker, where they're getting into a conversation about David Miscavige's dangerous and violent temper. Because many of you have probably heard the reports of him being physically abusive to staff, to Sea Org members, some of who left the Sea organization and have written books about it, sharing about it. Counterfeit Dreams by Jeff Hawkins, Blown for Good by Mark Headley, Mike Rinder's book, My Billion-Year Contract. Just there's been a lot of firsthand accounts, even outside of people who wrote books, sharing about this. And his temper, it is dangerous. I agree with this. I really do. Let's see. Hold on. Let's watch this clip here.
Well, there's always a possibility. Miscavige has such a temper, and he's so violent that, you know, he's got offices on the 4th floor of the Flag Building, and I could see him getting so mad at somebody that he accidentally pushes them over the edge, and they go splat on the pavement and die. Not that I want that to happen.
No,
but
do you think? I mean, like literally, do you think that he's capable of just like of murder? Because that's murder.
Yeah, no, I do think he's capable. I think he's capable because I've seen him lose his shit to the point where there's nobody home. There's no longer a sentient human being running that body. There's an absolute unhinged, unbridled monster.
Right.
Right.
That is really serious when you think about how intense he already was, and that amplified over the years because Mitch was there beyond when, you know, Rinder escaped and other people, that it ramped up, that anger and that violence continued on is a scary thought.
And of course, he has done some horrible things to people physically, but I could see him really losing it.
Yeah, because he has lost it. Okay. David Miscavige. My friend at the Office of Special Affairs. Again, is it the weekend? It is. We try to be a little more gentle to you on the weekend because it's the weekend. You guys just cannot hide or cover up what David Miscavige has done, not just to Sea Org members of the past, but the present. And if he continues to do it in the future, we will know. We will find out and we will talk about it. So Office of Special Affairs, if you joined the Sea Organization because you wanted to help save mankind and you really wanted to create a cleared planet, at where does physically beating your staff, being emotionally abusive, being physically violent, where does that play into it? How is that creating a world without war, without insanity, all of that? Which is what L. Ron Hubbard says Scientology does. That is not what is happening. So my advice to you is to leave now. Just walk right out. Walk out. Contact one of the foundations. There's two that could help you, the SPTV Foundation and the Aftermath Foundation, to help get you set up, to help you reconnect with your family, all of the things. Just saying, because this monster is going down on account of his criminal behavior. He can no longer hide. You can get as many security guards as you want, David Miscavige. It's not going to cover up what you've done and what you're doing. We will know. We will know. And my friends in the Office of Special Affairs that my sister used to belong to, I found out, we will be here for you as well if you do choose to just walk out leaving it some help. So that is my public service announcement right there for that. All right, where are we at now? Ooh, Whitney Cummings. Whitney Cummings podcast, YouTube channel. She's a comedian. She is hilarious. And I love that she talks so much about Scientology. I really do. You know, I have a dream. I'm going to share my dream with you guys. Gather around. Come on. I want to have Whitney Cummings on the channel. And to do that, I just have to get a lot bigger so people return my emails when I reach out. So everybody help me do it. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, tell your friends, spread the word. I really want to grow my channel. So people like Whitney Cummings, when they get an email, when her people do, they're like, oh, of course, we would love to go on Scientology Life After a Cult and talk about Scientology. All right. So she was talking, she had a guest on. And of course, they're talking about Scientology. And I'm always so, it interests me so much when guests come on with their own stories. Because like we were just talking about, with John Stamos coming out with his Brush with Scientology in his book, and it making so many headlines, more and more people, including celebrities, are going to continue to do that. And they're not going to be afraid of being judged for having, you know, flirted with Scientology or been in for even a little while, because so many other people, these celebrities, are coming out and going, oh yeah, I almost did Scientology. Here's what happens. There was a time where it was something maybe that I think they felt more embarrassed by, or they got to cover it up and they don't want the association. I feel like today coming out with your Scientology story is great PR. It could really help your career. So bring them on, people. You know how to reach me, Natalie at lifeafteroccult.com. That is what I think was happening here. So let's take a look at this. These ladies are so funny.
Nothing good happens on an island. You only go to an island if you want to do bad things. Like I've gotten way too into maritime law. I don't like
Maritime law.
I started researching maritime law and how pedophiles and Scientology
Oh, good.
like do shady shit on international waters.
Wow.
Because there's no law on international waters.
What the are they doing in the
Dude,
waters?
What?
I thought I read all the books.
You tell me.
They didn't mention anything about the open sea. They missed something. They missed something in their research.
In the Scientology books?
I read several.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you ever dabble in Scientology?
Oh no.
Oh.
I love memoirs. So of course I read Leah Remini, and then I read Going Clear, and then I watched the No One Hurt Me.
I mean, when I tell you,
it's just funny. I love that they're talking about it. And I think we're going to see more and more and more of this. And when you see it, clip it. Send me a link. Send it to Natalie at lifeafteroccult.com. Please do. So Nicole Kidman is supposedly saying some things. I actually think she said this a while ago. But there's a few articles out right now saying Nicole Kidman offers rare comments about her ex, Tom Cruise. And there's really only one part that I found to be super interesting in this. Because and maybe some of you don't know this story, but when she and Tom Cruise were filming Eyes Wide Shut, several things were happening, including, which is not in the article here, but I'm going to tell you guys right now. This is not in the article, but I'm going to let you know. When Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were filming Eyes Wide Shut, it's almost like their eyes became a little more wide open about Scientology. Word on the street is Tom Cruise was not returning David Miscavige's calls. Can you imagine that? Boop, 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 boop. Goes to voicemail. Tom, yeah. Dave, yeah. Oh, yep, call me back. Doesn't get a call back. Really doesn't. So I do believe that was happening at the time. And the article, she goes on, she talks about what the relationship was like between them and how that was mined to play the characters they would. It's actually pretty interesting in that way. But she makes an interesting point. She goes, I do remember him saying, triangles are hard. You have to tread carefully when it's a triangle because one person could feel ganged up on. But he was aware of that and knew how to manage it. And she's talking about the director. What was his name? Stanley Kubrick. And the vision that he had for the movie. And it's interesting because when you know the backstory, when you read this article and you hear her comments and you know the backstory of what was happening behind the scenes with David Miscavige and them pulling away from Scientology at the moment, that whole thing, I think, makes a movie in and of itself. I just thought it was really interesting. And that's the fun thing about these Scientology stories, or when ex-Scientologists, which Nicole Kidman is an ex-Scientologist. Do you guys know? I think she did through Operating Thetan Level 2. And here's the thing, 1 or 2, something like that. She did start on the Operating Thetan levels. No one gets to stop in the middle of those. You don't go and do just 1 or do just 1 and 2. You have to stay. Everybody else has to stay until they get through 3. So I don't know. Is he kind of like, what point did it hit her? This is what I really want to know. And I'm hoping she one day shares. At what point was that awakening about Scientology? Was it the control? Was it the people in their lives that were Scientologists? Kind of the reasons why that were red flags later for Katie Holmes, who was like, why are all these people in our house and they're all Scientologists? What is happening there that seems invasive and not like we're having a private life at all? And the movie, if you're not familiar with the movie, was about they basically go to, I don't think they ever name who the group is who has like these anonymous sex parties. There's a whole storyline and thing to it. You'd have to check out the movie, but I kind of think it's telling. I just think it's very telling. So let's see here now. Let's see. Tom Cruise's daughter, Suri Cruise, may be forced to study his racist film at college. She needs therapy. Let's look at this because this is the film we're talking about. I do believe Eyes Wide Shut. So Suri, of course, being in college, and they have, what do they have? I thought I read they had over 100 different types of classes around film and that whole industry. And word on the street is that it's very possible that she will have to watch Eyes Wide Shut as part of a class, which could be awkward. It says, according to the Daily Mail, Carnegie Mellon University offers 100 drama classes in their curriculum. One of those classes examines Tom Cruise's raciest film. I said racist. I meant raciest, not racist. Raciest film ever, Eyes Wide Shut. Suri Cruise may want to exclude herself from that class. However, she could very well have friends who take the class, making things a bit awkward for the teen. And I never even thought about that. How weird would that be, you guys? Can you imagine you're estranged from your dad because he's in a cult and he won't contact you because he's in a cult and you have to go study his film and all the things? I mean, how weird and bizarre would that be? Or your friends are. I just feel for the girl. I do. I just feel for her. I do. Okay, let's now talk about, let me get this pulled up here. As you guys know, Leah Remini is splitting from her husband of 21 years of marriage. They were together for 28 years. They're basically saying we're different people now. And it really sounds like they're doing the split before they hate each other. Because you guys know, and you may know, you may not know, sometimes in a relationship, when it's gone past its expiration date, for whatever reason, you can either kind of call it quits before you hate each other, or you can get into the nastiness of it, and then it becomes this ugly thing. And from what I've read and what it looks like is they're calling it quits, before it gets nasty, because they want to maintain a family. Here's the interesting things, though. Did you guys know that JLO also filed for, or it's getting a divorce? And so Leah Remini files for divorce, no lawyer, just like former pal JLO. So Jennifer Lopez filed for divorce without a lawyer as well. And Leah Remini is doing that too. So I just think it's a point of curiosity. I mean, I'm always like, if you can cut out the middleman, if you don't really need a lawyer, I'm just a little bit of a rebel that way. I don't need that. I don't need to do that because everybody else does that. So it goes on to just talk about how, Leah Remini's officially filed to divorce her husband. And it looks like she's taking cues from her on-again, off-again friend, Jennifer Lopez, because she did it without a lawyer. And you guys also may or may not know that Leah Remini did not go to JLo's wedding to Ben Affleck. And word on the street, rumor, I have nothing to back this up, was that Leah Remini was like not down with that. Like, I don't support this relationship. And I'm speculating. I don't know this. This is speculation because I'm just some random person on the internet watching everything like you guys are. But it really gives this vibe of like, I don't know. Are they going to be like out? I feel like they're walking a similar path and maybe bringing them together more as friends again, because you guys have been in that situation where somebody you care about connects up or marries with somebody that you're just not down with and you don't like that person. But what do you do? Because you still love your friend. And you still need to love your friend, because if it really is somebody who is your friend and you've got this long history together, and it seems like they had a little bit of a break in their friendship, but now that's kind of coming back together now that JLo's getting a divorce and now Leah Remini's getting a divorce, and they're doing it in similar ways, which means they must be talking about it. I just think it's interesting and also good. I mean, when you're going through a rough time like that, and a divorce, even when you want it, can still be very painful and traumatic for those of you that have ever gone through that. Even when it is agreed and you know that it's best for both of you, or one agrees and one doesn't, it's still a very painful experience to go through. And maybe they're now going to lean on each other for that. Now, here's what I want to know. And I'm just going to put it out into the universe. I want to know what Jennifer Lopez really thinks about Scientology. Because remember, Jennifer Lopez's dad was or is a Scientologist. And she was never like down with that. I mean, I'm not aware of Jennifer Lopez doing Scientology. And being that she's so close with Leah Remini, who is public enemy number one in many ways for Scientology, how does that affect her relationship with her dad? I hope that it doesn't, because it should not. But we are talking about Scientology. So I don't know. So I'm just putting it out there into the universe. I would like to know what is that like for Jennifer Lopez to have your dad as a Scientologist and your best friend, even if on again, off again, as one of the more outspoken people about Scientology. I just want to be a fly on the wall. I do. I really do. All right. Okay. We got to talk about this. We have got to talk about this. Okay. Rebecca Minkoff. Rebecca Minkoff is supposedly a Scientologist who is on the Real Housewives of New York, kind of like as a friend, but they're really using her in a lot of the promos for it. So I think there's going to be some drama, and I'm here for it, because you can't go do a show like the Real Housewives as a Scientologist and not have the whole history and truth of Scientology come out. Here's the thing, though. Rebecca Minkoff is making statements that as an ex-Scientologist, as a former Scientologist, and as a former Sea Org member are red flags. If I'm Scientology, I'm looking at these statements going, what in the world? This girl needs some reprogramming. She needs to be brought back in. All of the things. If they could put her on the rehabilitation project force, maybe they would. I don't know. We're going to look at a couple of these comments, and I'm going to translate it for you, because I think this is where it helps to have people who, like me, who grew up in Scientology or were in this dumb cult for 35 years. We understand the language and we know what the rules are. And she's not following them. So look at this. Look at this. So, Real Housewives of New York star Rebecca Minkoff, Scientology history explored. And, she's in fashion. She's a handbag designer. I think she does clothes too. Real Housewives New York is airing in October. I'm going to be watching it. So we've talked about this before. We've talked about a couple of these statements before. So the newbie, meaning Rebecca Minkoff, because she's the newbie to the Real Housewives, the newbie seemed aware of how people perceive the church, Scientology, adding, I think there's a lot of confusion when people hear the word religion. Immediately you hear that I pray to L. Ron Hubbard. I study it. I take classes, and that's the extent of it. And it's helped me stay centered. I don't have all the answers. When I needed someone, it was a place for me to go to get some answers. Rebecca Minkoff claims she is learning knowledge. When I needed someone, it was a place for me to go to get some answers. I'm sorry, but as a second generation Scientologist, just when you needed someone, that's when you went. That's the only time you went. You're not dedicated. That would be called a dilettante in Scientology. Surely she's right, keeping Scientology working, where L. Ron Hubbard says over and over again, pounding his fist on the table. That's how I imagine it. I actually have never seen that, but in my mind, when I read it, you are here on the same terms as the rest of us. Win or die in the attempt. L. Ron Hubbard pushes Scientologists. The indoctrination is that you basically need to be fierce. You need to be fierce about Scientology. You need to be dedicated about Scientology. I'm not getting Scientologist dedicated. It's really giving, I'm an under the radar Scientologist and I have one foot out the door, which you'll remember when we first found out she was going to do the Real Housewives of New York. I went, what? How is this allowed? I mean, I love it. I hope it happens. This is fantastic because of the attention it would bring to Scientology being a cult, which it has. It has. We've seen it. But I want to know, you guys tell me in the comments, if you're catching this on the replay, jump in those comments, tell me in the live chat, what does this sound like to you? There's another statement that she makes too. Give me a 1 if you think this girl has 1 foot out the door, and a 2 if you think she's a hardcore Scientologist. During the same year, Rebecca spoke on the Dinner Party with Jeremy Fall podcast and opened up about how deep her beliefs go. So here she is opening up about how deep her beliefs go. And she says Scientology, which the word itself means knowledge, that's all it means. the new Bravo Leb reiterated. I'm Jewish, so I have my beliefs with Judaism and God. And I got to Scientology to learn knowledge. And that's spiritual because I'm not working out my abs. And that's spiritual because I'm not working out my abs. Honestly, that makes no sense to me. I don't understand what she's saying. We're just separating the body from the spirit. It has personally helped me from my own demons, my own things I'm not happy about myself. So to me, in translating this, it really sounds like she's downplaying the role of Scientology in her life, and she's highlighting her Jewish faith, which I think is amazing because it is a sign, it is an indicator that this is not a gung-ho Scientologist here if she's doing that. It's just, I don't know, we're getting a lot of twos here on this. So you guys think that she doesn't have one foot out the door. I don't know. This is some dangerous wording. Imagine Tom Cruise saying this, or another Scientologist, Nancy Cartwright, who's the voice of Bart Simpson. It's like, no, you're making it sound like Scientology is not important, which I think is what she's trying to do. While trying to discredit haters, Rebecca added, now listen to this, you guys. I've been around it and in it for the better part of 20 years, and I've never seen anything kooky or weird or anything, except a bunch of nice people who got out of their way to help others in need. The designer argued after a few bad apples shouldn't spoil the bunch. You can't take a bad person and equate it with the original tenets. There's no such thing as an alien. We don't believe all the crazy stuff. The aliens are going to come, whatever. Okay, so we know why she's saying this, because Scientologists, of course, cannot admit, oh yeah, Xenu is totally a thing. And most Scientologists do not know about the galactic overlord Xenu or body things because they don't make it that high on Scientology's bridge. So they actually really don't know about it. And you can tell she was prepped too, because I used to have to do interviews for Scientology. And this is prepping right here, where she says, you can't take a bad person and equate it to the original tenets. So this is what Scientology does, is they try to say, oh, no, those things that were done. Oh, no. Forcing countless couples who were married and wanted children to end those pregnancies so we didn't have to give up our free labor force. What? Those were some bad apples that did that. And they're gone now. And we don't do that anymore. No, you liar. No. It was totally a part of it. Yep, Teen in the Last 20, a short story. Every day, all day. But here's the thing. I don't know. My ex-Scientology senses are going off here. And I just want to say, for the record, Rebecca Minkoff, I'm here for you. You know how to reach me. Natalie at lifeafteroccult.com. I'm just saying, I just think it's something we need to keep an eye on. It is definitely a short story. You guys are right. I'm seeing your comments there. It's very true. But there's just some things you can't stay as an active hardcore Scientologist, and elevating another belief system over Scientology and making Scientology sound like it's just some self-help thing you did on the side. That does not make a Scientologist. Like, in the eyes of Scientology, I'm just saying, like, that even other celebrities would not, there would be an issue. There would be an issue, but we'll see. I could be 100% completely wrong on this, but let's all note for the record, what is today, August 31st. It is a Saturday where Natalie predicted that Rebecca Minkoff is in fact going to leave Scientology. I could be totally wrong. I really could be. Oh, Afila, I guarantee you she knows about the Lisa McPherson story. There's no way she doesn't. I mean, her dad had to pay, what was that, $100,000 or so for her role in that. And for those of you who don't know, her dad is Dr. David Minkoff, who is involved with Lisa McPherson and then the death of another Scientologist, Whitney Mills in Clearwater just a couple of years ago. She totally knows, but she knows the shore story. She knows, unless she went and read about it. I don't know. Because you got to remember too, if she's sitting there thinking, you know what, I need to leave Scientology. This doesn't align with my values. It doesn't align with who I am as a person, but my family is deep. We're 3 generations into Scientology. I can relate to that. My family was 3 generations into Scientology, and I knew I had to be very careful about the line I walked when I had made the decision to leave, but I ended up taking 2 years to develop and execute a plan to get as many of my family members out as I could during that time. I mean, I didn't know it was going to take 2 years, but it did. But, as a result, I left with 3 generations of my family. So this seems familiar to me. It just seems familiar to me. And I think that's because, I remember what that's like when you actually don't want to be there and don't want to be a Scientologist, but you still have to pretend you are to just keep things cool and calm, not rock the boat. Susan, thank you for the reminder. Tap the like, everybody. Tap the like. And guess what's happening today? I'm going to be doing a live stream this afternoon at, when am I doing it? Nancy just told me and I forgot. I asked her to remind me because exactly this, 4 p.m. my time, 4 p.m. Central Time today. I'm going to be interviewing Scientology up north, who has been protesting out in Denmark and covering a lot of what's been happening, with multiple news articles coming out, with Denmark officials being like, no, we're not down with Scientology. A book. I mean, so many things are happening out there. So she's going to join me here on the channel later today, 4 o'clock Central. If you cannot catch it on the live, please do join us on the replay. I think it's going to be very enlightening. There's so much happening over there. I have just been dying to talk to her about it. Absolutely wanting to talk to her about it. I know, Elise, Switzerland and Sweden are different countries. I know this. For some reason, my brain just gets it confused. And in the moment, my brain has a difficult time retrieving that information. And I don't know why. So I have to just keep trying. But thank you for the reminder. You were totally right about that. Let's see. Irrelevant Panda. Like most this taught by the cult, LSD flashbacks aren't really a thing. In cases when it does happen, it is exceedingly rare and not like the common perception. Isn't that interesting? Because Scientology does make a big deal about these LSD flashbacks or drug flashbacks, that the drugs that you took are in the fatty tissues of your body and they can reactivate. Which made me like, oh my gosh, if you do LSD or hardcore drugs and then 10 years at any given time in the middle of a grocery store, in the middle of your wedding vows, it could kick back in. You could end up high as hell. Or you can sweat it out in the sauna. But while you're sweating out the LSD and the drugs, they kick back in because it comes back into your bloodstream. That is what Scientology tells its members. That is what L. Ron Hubbard talks about in the book, Clear Body, Clear Mind. Science, on the other hand, has a lot of very different things to say about that, including that Scientology uses a dangerous amount of niacin in their whole sauna program. So that's been shot down like a lot. Let's see. Ooh, Denise, have you ever seen the Law and Order SVU that Stamos was in? No. Was that recent? I have not watched. I watch streaming, which I know I can watch Law and Order on there, but I've just not watched that in a long time. I'm obsessed with the YouTube people. If I am not watching content about protesting and exposing Scientology, I'm still watching some other thing on YouTube, like how to do YouTube. How do you do the back end? What do I write here? What box do I click here? All of the things. I miss some regular television shows, although I am gearing up for that new Hulu show. When does that come out? The one about the Mormon wives that Nora and I are going to watch and talk about. I cannot wait to hear about that. I put it in my calendar. I put it in my calendar when it was coming out. And Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, I think is what it's called. I think it comes out like on the 6th next week. It's a whole thing. I think it's going to be very interesting. Let's see. Kitty says, I always wanted to know how little Davy Navy never shows his anger to his buddy Little Cruise. Because they're 2 peas in a pod. Tom Cruise is his homie. That is his bud. They vibe the same way. All that angry, culty stuff. So he probably doesn't. I mean, I don't know. And he also knows, obviously, to a degree, right? When Tom Cruise would show up, they would get rid of staff members that looked funky or put off a negative vibe. I'm not even joking. They would hide them away, bring out the beautiful people, Bring out the theta people, put them all out front, because we can't have Tom Cruise coming into Scientology and putting eyes on somebody who is not attractive or who is not putting off just like everything is fine and Scientology is fantastic. And I am totally here of my own free will, working 100 hours plus a week for $47, not able to have a family. But yes, everything is great, Tom Cruise. Come on into Scientology. I mean, that's basically what they try to do. So I don't think that David Miscavige himself will be showing his ass that bad. I mean, I'm sure he does to a degree, which what does that tell you? That Tom Cruise is in agreement with it, that he doesn't see it as an out point. There's always that too. Maybe it's not so hidden. Maybe Tom Cruise feels that David Miscavige is justified in his anger and his rage because nobody is doing the work that he's doing. That's right, David Miscavige, they aren't. Those bottles of scotch are not going to drink themselves. Okay, so anyways, I think that's what I got for you guys today. Come check me back out again, 4 o'clock Central Time on the replay. If you can, hit that like button, hit subscribe. And if you see something, say something. Send it to Natalie at lifeafteraccult.com. And in the meantime, everybody, get out there and have an amazing cult-free day.